Hello everybody, it's David Rauschendorfer, your cybersecurity resource. And in this module, we want to talk about documenting your software and solutions for all of the organization across the enterprise, across all the departments, business units, whatever you have set up, however scalable your organizational actually is. One of the ways that we're going to accomplish this, if you're not already using an automated solution, which this document actually has an additional purpose, so don't just skip this. If you are using an automated solution, make sure you understand what we will use this document for throughout developing your program, not just for documenting applications. So this is an application XREF template. We're starting here on the legend. So what this is going to do, as you can see, there's a number of tabs here down at the bottom. This would be for your main organization, headquarters, right? Headquarters servers, business units, or departments. However you may be separating your organization out. Maybe you'll just use one core document here. So what this is going to do, as you can obviously see, is going to document the application and the department, the owner of that application. The vendor, if there's a vendor involved, data type, what type of data is being pushed, managed, stored, transferred, transmitted, processed in that application. And then its priority for your disaster recovery business continuity purposes. Right, so that's where this legend comes into play. So for this legend to make sense, you noticed, again, this first part is going to be who is the owner, the users, the manager, and who may feed that application, right? The data types there being non-sensitive, PII, personal identifiable information, patient health information, payment card information, and then your priorities, again, supporting your business continuity purposes as a priority rating here, and you can adjust these if needed. So that leads us back into this page as we talked about the initial aspects of this. What you're going to do or want to do to fill this out, if you do not have a list of applications for your organization, is just to start to document all of the ones that you know that are being utilized across the enterprise. Again, working with any IT departments is going to be key in this, as they're going to have a lot of ownership over many applications, most likely, that the organization itself is using. So you're going to initially start documenting all of those, filling in these fields here. Now, as we get over to the right-hand side, you're going to see there's a couple individual ones started here. So you have all employees, all departments. So at headquarters, again, you can break this out however you want. Oftentimes, again, if you have an org chart or a hierarchy that your organization is aligned to, most likely you're going to want to follow that in going through this. Oftentimes when it comes down to this, and even when documenting procedures as we start to break out departments, you may find that there are individual kind of business units working within departments that often drive priority revenue streams that often need their own set of documentation, or kind of working with them just as if they were their own department, even though they are a subsect. So anyway, digress back to the applications here. You're going to want to document out all of those departments following that hierarchy across the top column here. So you can start understanding, again, as you see in this initial part here, these are all users, right? Going back to that legend reference. So who is the owner of the application? Who across the organization is using it? who's the manager kind of contact. Are there other departments feeding that? Are we feeding data out to an application? What is that? So having that understanding of where that data is going and coming and who owns it is going to be key here. So it's pretty straightforward. You're just going to walk through all of those applications in doing this. Now, if you are using an automated tool in order to capture all of this, all of the applications, scanning your network and pulling that information down. One thing that often comes up as you start to document out the departmental procedures for your organization as we get further along into this program development workflow is going to be that you may find that they're using applications that they've found from third parties, that have never kind of gone through a formal indoctrination process because they're hosted externally. They didn't need to be linked into your network. So, there's oftentimes when you're documenting out those workflows and talking to those departments that you start identifying additional applications that you weren't aware of, third-party solutions and applications that you're using as an organization that are not being documented or appropriately probably managed at this point. So, this document is handy for sharing out and using even if needed, depending on how you want to manage that process, where you can have a department fill out what applications they're using, unique to them type of thing as well. So that's basically what this is. From the initial application documentation, you can start documenting out any servers that you are responsible for, that you're hosting, where are those applications living, what department owns them, server host names, and start documenting this information, right? So Active Directory and what department network means. And you have your vendor there. So then you can start identifying where those servers are and the applications that live on them. So the additional tabs down here are just going to be for the business units. So it's the same thing that we just went over, exact same setup. The only thing is, it's just broken out. If you're large enough that you have additional business units that you want them to start documenting things such as this, and or if you have very independent departments, maybe. However this works best for you, these tabs were just broken out a little bit further down the chain so that you can continue to document that at the various levels, associating them to their actual location and where they're at and where people are using them. So that's what you're going to want to document here. Understanding where your data is, where it's going, and what it's doing is very important. And so oftentimes organizations think they have an understanding internally, but as we go through this process, we often find that data is flowing all over the place in manners that we're often not aware of. And so being able to start documenting this, understanding what solutions, what the business workflows are, how the departments actually operate, how the business operates, and kind of putting on that business hat and taking a look at a lot of this to understand where those critical data points are is going to be crucial in documenting and developing out your information security program. So if you want to protect your data, you got to know where it is and make sure you have the appropriate controls over it to safeguard that information, right? So, all right, hopefully this was helpful. I believe this is fairly straightforward. I don't think it needs anything more than what I just went over there. Use this as you see fit in this process. Again, if you have not documented any applications, this is going to be key for you to start putting some of this information together, and we'll build on it as we work through this development process. All right. If you have any questions, make sure you leave comments below, and I'll get back to you with responses right away. And the team will be supporting that. So